I have the biggest Pokemon card collection in the world.
What's your most expensive one?
The most expensive card is probably the pristine 10 first edition base Charizard.
My Charizard collection is listed right now for almost $50 million.
We have some of the biggest investors here on the channel, and for some reason, your Pokemon card collection has outperformed all of them.
Well, I know why. The reason is I get 20 messages a day from all the big guys, Justin Bieber. They all want my cards. I bought a first edition base Charizard for $700. Now it's worth about $500,000. Logan came over just to visit. He ended up making a play for one of the cards.
I know what you're thinking. This is stupid, right? You're paying $250,000 for a piece of cardboard, and you're right.
He said, Gary, I'm a maverick. I said, okay, not very bright.
$60,492,000.
What's the darkest side of the high-end Pokemon market that you've been aware of?
Gary, thank you so much for coming on the Iced Coffee Hour. You've been called the Warren Buffett of Pokemon. I'm curious, what's the total value of your collection today?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I heard you and Logan talking about the number of the most premium cards I had or something. And humbly, I say you guys are way off.
Oh, no.
Yeah. You were closer, though, with what you said. I think you said about 20 million. And that Logan was more, 10 million or 12 million or something like that. So I know it's a bit of a general, statement, but it's well over those amounts.
If someone offered you $50 million right now for your entire Pokemon collection, would you accept it?
Wow, that would be tempting. That would be tempting. I'm too old to need it. I don't need the money. And it's all eventually probably going to go to our, one of our charities in that. So that would be hard to say no on. So I'm gonna say maybe on that one.
It's something to sleep on.
Yeah, but it kind of hurts me to say that because I'm in no mind frame whatsoever to ever give those cards up. I know I gave one to Logan. Logan bought one, and Steve Aoki bought one. And you know that story with Steve Aoki.
Tell us.
Logan came over just to visit, just to see my collection and all that. And you probably saw the video where he ended up making a play for one of the cards he knew I wouldn't sell, and I didn't. Then he took my son aside, Devin, and said, would your dad be offended if I, tried to get one of the PSA 10 first edition base Charizards? And that, because I know your dad doesn't want to sell nor need to sell anything. And Devin said, well, he would never sell the Beckett 10s. And he said it's very unlikely he would sell anything out of his collection. And Logan said, well, would he get offended? And Devin said, no, he's easygoing. He doesn't care. You can offer, but he won't take it. And so that's how that happened, with Logan. Like you saw, I had a moment of weakness.
Well, I saw he opened up a briefcase and had $150,000 cash in there.
Yes.
Was it just seeing the cash in front of you?
Meant absolutely nothing.
Do you regret selling Logan Paul a PSA 10 first edition base set Charizard for $150,000?
I don't regret it at all. But I have to tell you one other thing. Steve Aoki, he had been trying for years to get me to sell him a card, right? And I never would. And so he called me and he said, you sold Logan one of your cards, and I've been trying and I'm your friend, and I've been trying for years to get you to sell me one, and you won't do it. And I went, ugh. I said, okay, I'll sell you one. So Logan bought his for the $150,000. I sold the one to Steve right after Logan purchased it. Prices went up, right? Which is I kind of anticipated. Steve, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but he paid $172,000 for a second one. But then I used those dollars to purchase two more in those coming months, and I had to pay more because after Logan purchased, the prices jumped. had to pay more, so I came out quite a bit behind, maybe 20, 30, 40,000 behind. But I did purchase 2 more, and I went back to having 12 of them.
You know what's crazy is we bring people on this podcast that are career investors. You know, Chris Camillo turned $20,000 into
20 million. Probably more than that.
probably 100 million at this point. Who knows? We bring on the genius entrepreneurs, business people, investors, and you've probably outperformed most of them because you bought Charizards. Tell me the point that you knew this would be a very viable investment opportunity, like the exact moment.
Well, that's actually a wonderful question because I did have a clue. And the only reason I had a clue is because I'm a lifelong collector. I started collecting when I was 5 years old in 1959. I would collect bottle caps with football players' pictures on the, we'd snap off the bottle cap top, and on the inside there'd be a picture of a football player. And when I was 5 years old, I started collecting those, and I immediately had to catch them all. I immediately had to complete the whole set. And my father, remember, I'm a little tiny kid, 5 years old, would take me to all the gas stations, and I'd take a magnet and load it down the Coke machine, where you knock off the top, right, and all the bottle caps in the bottom, run a magnet down below and pull up all the bottle caps until I could get them all. Well, from that point on, I've been a major completionist and very much so a collector and a love for collecting. And I can tell you that though most of those bottle caps I may not have today, how they got knocked off in boxes over the years, I have some, I never gave them up. I kept all my collections going back here. That's why I have 5 storage lockers in 3 different states with my collections inside. And honestly, 95% of them are worth absolutely nothing, except the memories, that I have from each and every set and thing I collected.
What's the most valuable collection you have outside of Pokemon?
I would say probably my science fiction magazines from the 1920s, my pulp magazines, science, wonder stories. I would say those are probably the next most valuable because I got them in very good condition, and I knew I was old enough and long-time collector. I knew how to protect them because pulp magazines were not made to collect. In the 1920s, they were made to read and throw away. So the paper was crumbly. It's hard to find one with a spine that doesn't have crumbles and all that. In mine are amazing condition. So maybe those.
What you do kind of reminds me of angel investor. It's someone that just throws a bunch of money at a bunch of random things, and one thing, that being Pokemon and maybe your sci-fi magazines or novels or whatever they are, those jump. And you make your ROI on that. How much money have you spent buying all of these collectibles?
Going back, I'm 72 years old. Going back to 65 years, back to when that little boy was collecting those bottle caps, there would be absolutely no way could I figure out how much I've spent over these 65 years on all my stuff. Again, I have 5 storage lockers filled with collectibles. And I would say the vast majority I paid more than they would be worth today for that stuff. But it was stuff that I just wanted to complete and collect. And then when my boys, I have 2 sons that are probably your ages, right? I started collecting things with them and overpaying on most things. It wasn't the money. I never collected as an investment. Otherwise, I would have sold. There were opportunities to sell my Pokemon cards 10 times over the last 26 years, probably 10 times, 27 years, 28 years now almost. And yet I never sold them.
I understand you didn't do it from an investment perspective, but the way you look at investments is like, okay, well, how much money did I put in and what did I get out? And if what you got out is about $30 million, if you put in $1 million, that's a 30x. Like, people can only if you put money in SanDisk a year ago, that's the only way you could have 30x'd. Okay, let's be honest. So I'm curious, do you think it could be around $1 million? I'm just trying to get a grasp of like the returns that alternative investments can get if you're doing it perfectly.
I would probably have to say it would come out to less than $1 million over all these years. Because remember, most of the things simply didn't. I started in the beginning of all of them, except we were talking about Magic the Gathering. I missed the first 2 sets, but even those weren't that expensive in the very beginning. So I would say probably less than $1 million.
What's the cheapest